Out here, and the little bearded ladies and their boy, the guy, and he's just really curious. Kenny here with Gardening Simplified. It's September 1st, and we're going to do a garden update. Out here, letting out my little chicks. For those of you that keep updated, these were all hatched from eggs. They're kind of crossbred, and they're not all that old, but we are getting roughly about 6 to 7 eggs a day. So and I don't know if all of them's laying or not, but they are enjoying their little coop out here. And the important thing about the chicken coop is we're using it for some permaculture, and we'll talk about permaculture probably in another video, but we're running them down here through the sweet potato patch, getting rid of some of the grass. It's pretty much going on here, and like I say, we got plenty of grass out in this part. Mr. Rooster saying good morning, hello. Now we're out here in the corn patch. This stuff here is a good 8 to 10 feet tall. And our last update, I was wondering what's going on, which it didn't have any ears. They are putting on ears. Now some of these still don't have any, but maybe they're just a little bit behind. But they're starting to do pretty good. Hopefully we'll have some corn. Some of these ears, like this one here, is it's getting pretty close to time. We'll have a few that's early that will maybe get us 3 or 4 and have us some corn on the cob. But it's all coming along. Some of it's doesn't seem to be as filled out as the other, but any of you that grow corn, you can kind of realize. Now this here, the silks, is just about getting to that point. We'll start taking a look and seeing. But anyway, that is one nice crop of corn there in this one. The sweet potatoes are down here. We're going to start digging a few, see if we can't find where they are. And you can see here's a vine. The chicks come through. I don't know how much eating they did on the vines. I really don't care. I'm figuring it's not going to make that much difference on there. Let's go see how the peas are doing. Well, we're down here at the Zipper Cream pea patch, and as we can see here, we're starting to form some peas. It won't be long, a week or two, and we ought to start picking these. Definitely they've got plenty of grass. We didn't come down here and do anything. We just planted them. Now this patch has a problem. We're going to see if we can figure a way to deal with it. I don't know if any of you out there have had such a problem, but you can see there is so much nut grass, and you see all this seed, and it's just all in there. And that's the big problem with this patch, is it just nut grass, and it's actually outgrowing the peas, and some of it it's not doing so much over here where we've got it thicker. There is nut grass, but it's the peas kind of shade out a certain amount of it. But as you get where it's thinner, the nut grass kind of takes over. Plans are, after do this pea patch, is come in here with some Elbon rye and seed this for a cover crop. And I'm not sure, that might be the way to go. Also contemplating maybe turnip or mustard crop, but I need to build a soil, get a little more organic matter in it. Elbon rye is a great way, and I have the sprinkler system, so if it's dry I can give it a good shot, and I can actually fertilize through the sprinkler system if I need to give it a little extra, maybe put a little fish oil in my, or fish emulsion in my fertilizer injector. I'll take a little stop here by the seed starting. Now normally you concentrate a lot on seed starting during the spring. A lot of people don't think about fall gardening as much. Now I have a bunch of muscadine mix here, a good salad mix. I call it gourmet salad mix. Really got a mixture of a lot of different flavors in there. And I have a little okra here, another batch of okra. This is some cowhorn that I'm growing. It starts producing really young, so even though we're late in the season, we ought to be getting a pretty good batch of it. And I've got some cilantro that's up. These are from seeds that I had saved last year, and they're slow to germinate. They do come up. They don't come up real good. I'd say it's probably less than 50% germination rate, but I'll use these for a later crop. I'm planning to grow quite a bit of cilantro here in the fall, do a lot of freeze drying of it, and then of course the farmer's market. And I have some large leaf Italian basil here, which it doesn't look very large. It's really small. I don't thin these. I'll put a few seeds in each place, and then it makes a nice clump for when I go to harvest. I'll just set them a little bit apart so it'd be easy to harvest, a foot or so apart on the row. But they're coming up. But anyway, let's go out to the main garden. We do have kind of a mess here at the main garden. Now we have our overflow of our compost right here, and we have a pretty good sweet potato vine. This should be what they all look like, but that just didn't happen. This one here has been occasionally getting water when it really got dry, but mostly it's just been rain. But we've been taking, and this is kind of getting bigger because we've been taking and removing this fence that used to go around and down, and we're removing our compost bin. We're going to move it. We've got, we're going to try to move it with the tractor in as much of one piece as possible. So we've dug around the poles, and we just got one bin left to empty out. Now we have taken, and up here we'll start at the top. We have potatoes planted in these two. They haven't come up yet, but their eyes was forming, so it shouldn't be too much longer, maybe a week they'll be up. We have some yellow summer squash here, and down further it's blooming. We have some cucumbers here, and these cucumbers are, we moved the fence. We didn't bother cutting it shorter, so if we decide to use it somewhere else, just roll the end up. But they're starting to bloom, and it won't be long. They ought to start putting on little cucumbers. I haven't really spent a lot of time looking at them. I see a lot of male flowers. Over here we have some more the yellow summer squash, and it's just now getting to where it's going to be putting on some squash, which is going to be great. But I've got more cucumbers. These here are some that I haven't grown before in the past. This is a national pickling cucumber, so we're going to see exactly how well this does. And then we can come over here. Now these are our Mississippi silver skin peas. If you remember, we had a row there. We'd just taken that out this week. And that was a row supposed to have been black-eyed peas that weren't. So, but they've been taken out too. So these will go maybe another week or two, and then they'll be coming out, because field peas, they have a short time span as far as production. Now, normally when they commercially farm these, it's kind of a one and done. They want a pea that's going to put up a whole bunch, because they're going to run a pea picker down there harvest them all out, and then they'll plant another crop. We do have a few rough looking cabbages. We're going to harvest these maybe this week, just little heads, and bring them out. The aphids got in here and worked those over. Over this way we have our okra. This here is emerald okra, and it's still producing. It's we pick it every day, but sometimes some of them grow pretty fast each day. And this is some more cowhorn. This is a couple weeks ahead of that that's inside. We've taken out the okra that was here, and we're started on this row with a few more. This was where the cantaloupes were, and we've cleaned that out, and it doesn't take much. And I've been trying to weed down this fence row. This really got carried away. We have our peppers here. These are Sugar Rush. We didn't have very many plants, just 5 of them. And then these here are yellow scorpions, and they just ain't producing very well, but it shouldn't be long. They should start taking off. But there's one on there, but that's kind of the way it's been. They're starting to bloom, and hopefully now it's cooled down, they'll bloom better. Of course, our habaneros, you can see it's loaded up. These are some more cucumbers. These are the divas, and we'll just go through and we'll take care of this little situation there while we're here. These are starting to bloom. Of course, we have our other peppers here. They're doing pretty good. The cayennes, which are over there, those are the ones that were the leggy ones. Now these should do a little better. This was the row of my orange tomatoes and my Cherokee purples. We just took this out yesterday, so we'll get this row planted back with something else. Now here is basil, and the basil is not looking good at all. I'm trying to debate whether to cut it down one more time and let it come back. There are just a few plants that maybe I can harvest enough to get some pesto, but we'll just have to see on it. Now we have just put in 3 rows of green beans. These are Blue Lake green beans. They tend to do good here. They're coming on good. I'll probably do some type of spray schedule on these for aphids, which just use eco-friendly soap and go that way. Now our cayennes are still doing good. They could probably use a little fertilizer and a little more water, because they're getting a little small. They're not quite as long. Of course, the heat was affecting a lot of that. We're going to have a lot of work here taken. I got to get these cages from the tomatoes out of the garden. Let's go on down this way. Now, this is a row of cilantro. Normally I don't plant that much, but like I say, I'm planning to harvest up a bunch and preserve it. Here's our other okra, which this up here at this end is probably about 8-9 feet tall, and then when you get down to the other end with the other variety, it's up there, and that's emerald too, but it's up there probably about 12 feet or so. Our peppers, now we've been having a loss of some. I think I was blaming a lot of it on the drip system, so I've been doing overhead watering on it, which should help out. But most of them are doing pretty good, but we are losing occasional plants in here while ago. Now our strawberries, we still need to get after it, get down here and move these down. We're moving it into this bed here. I've started putting a few at the end, but I'm going to move them into here and just try to keep it. And then we're going to try to, we've got to redo this. All the rains has kind of done a job on this because the compost was it's 2 years old, and it was kind of really, the organic matter's about gone in it, so it had a little more erosion. We recently redid this bed, and it was really heavy in grass seed. It was the compost that we composted, but we weren't watching it good and getting the heat, so we're going to deal with getting the grass out and taking care of it. We're down here. These are golden wax beans, and they're blooming like crazy, but they aren't setting any beans. You get little bitty beans on here, and you can see here's a little bitty bean right here, and then they end up falling off. So they look like they pollinate, but they don't. And of course, these are our ghost peppers. These plants are up here about 4.5 feet or so, but they're not producing very well. They're blooming like crazy, and we're hoping the same thing, that the cooler weather is going to help that out. Now let's take a look in the greenhouse. We have some more squash in here. I figured we'd put some out. The tomatoes didn't do real good. I need to get out here and wrap up some tomatoes and get them to climbing. Now these here are some cherry tomatoes. It's going to be a little bit before they start producing, but we should get some. Different types of cucumbers that's in here. We just filled in where the tomatoes didn't do good, so we'd have more cucumbers. It's going to be a year to try to do some pickling, and so we need a good stock available. As we come up to this end, we'll come over here to the sunflowers. Now these sunflowers have really worked out good as a trap for leaf foot bugs. You can see them right there. I need to get the vacuum out and vacuum them up, but after they started really getting spent and dying back, they've really attacked them. Our echinacea is a really a joy to have in the garden. As far as it's going to have to wait another year, but it sure does bring some beauty in here with its flowers. Now over here, of course, we've been getting the mushrooms out. We don't know what variety, so we can't eat them, but you can see this coming in here and here. This is where this deal has reseeded itself, and instead of trying to clean it out, this would be a good place for some fall deal, and so we'll go ahead and keep it. Let's finish up over here. We have some cucumbers here. These are starting to produce pretty good. They're not the best because the heat kind of misforms a lot of them, but they are producing cucumbers. I'm getting just a few extras, maybe get a few to the market, but the main thing is I'm still being able to eat them. Now this is another variety. This is the Diva. I put some in here, see how they do. And they don't seem to do quite as well as they do outside. But we have been getting a few cucumbers. Our pineapples, they want to be put out. They're growing slow because they're in that pot. And of course we have all our citrus trees that have been grown from seed, so they're going on. The paprika peppers that we planted, they've really done good. We've got quite a bit of powder from these. We probably end up having to do some more. Now every year our poblanos, the peppers don't get real big. Now these plants are really tall because they're leggy. They're up there a good 7 to, some might be pushing 8 foot. But the peppers are always just kind of small on here, and that's, once it cools down, I'm hoping that they'll get some larger ones. But as far as they are producing the peppers there, and we've kind of got a selection, and of course these are blooming good, these serranos, and then this was kind of not a real good thing. Of course, it hadn't really affected, but these are the banana peppers, and they were next to the hot peppers. So, but we didn't have a problem with that. Down here, some of our herbs are doing good. Some of our herbs have burned up, and it's a lot of them that's burned up. It's because of lack of steady watering. Some of the other ones need actually harvested and taken and freeze dried so we can preserve them. These are all our sweet peppers down here, which seem to be doing pretty good. We've got to get these rows planted. I'm thinking about doing my onions, overwinter onions over here. So hopefully we'll use that. We might use this again for carrots, but it will need to be weeded. Thinking about doing lettuce in the little greenhouse. We have lots of trays out here. We've got some lawsonata kale and some collards here. We've got some green magic broccoli. We've got some more curly leaf parsley, and here's some dill. This is early Dutch round cabbage, and then we have some different onions here. I think this is the red. No, this is the leek, and this leek was from Save Seed from last year. It's doing real good as far as it's been a great addition. Here we have some different Napa and Chinese cabbages, and then we have some more sweet onions, some red granos, some more sweet onions, and then some white granos. So we're going to have plenty of onions. It's just going to be a matter of making sure I don't forget them like I have in the past. Not get out here and water that or overwater the onions, because they'll tend to hold a lot. Now we've got a lot of grass in different areas on this row. We've been coming in trying to keep it cleaned up. And we really need to, because potatoes don't like it. I was talking about potatoes should be coming up, and I can tell right now that's a potato. It's just now breaking the surface, so we ought to be seeing a lot of them pretty soon, and that'll be our fall crop. Our chives, they're taking and blooming heavy, so I might collect a few more seeds off those this year. And our asparagus. Now we didn't harvest much on this year. We let it build a lot heavier roots, so next year we'll harvest a couple of months off it, and it ought to really do good. And right here, our leek it tends to be doing okay. It probably wouldn't hurt to have some nitrogen put to it. Our orange tree, a few of our oranges have split, and of course had to pull them off. They get the water from the rain, it kind of gave them a little too much. But you can see we've got a whole lot of new small leaf growth here, so it looks like it's going to be putting on. I'm fixing to pull this in. I need to put it in a bigger pot so it's got more stable water conditions, but I'm going to do a lot of propagation off of this. I'll do some air rooting. But anyway, that's where we're sitting right now. Everything is doing good. We have a lot growing. We have a lot more planned to get in here behind what's growing. I hope your garden's doing good. And if you have any questions, of course, put them down in the comments. If you want to see more of my videos, just hit that subscribe, hit the bell so you'll be notified, and give it a big thumbs up. Happy gardening.